How can you generate income in retirement? You're going to have to forgive me in this video because I'm going to go off on a little bit of a rant. I'm going to go ahead and warn you that this is forthcoming. Hi, I'm Camille Gaines here, and on my website, retirecertain.com, I write about and talk about my investing and income stream adventure over the past 40 years or so. Over the past 15 years, I've created multiple income streams from both traditional and non-traditional investments, along with my husband, Larry, and I talk and write about all that here. So if this interests you, make sure you like the video and stay with me in this video as I talk about how to generate income in retirement. Okay, so let me start by saying that I do a lot of research for my writing and for my videos. I'm a bit of an investing nerd. I'm not trying to sell you wealth management services. That's not why I have my channel. I do a little bit of financial coaching. However, I mostly just am an investing nerd. This is my passion. This is my hobby, and this is what I'm about. So I've been researching investing for several decades now, and I just like to learn about it. It's a fascinating topic. I personally don't see how anyone can't be excited to learn about making more money so that they can have money for life. So in this particular video, I want to share with you what I found when I Googled how to generate retirement income when I was putting together content for this video. And I found from normally very reliable sources these tips that I'm going to share with you today about how to generate retirement income. This is no kidding. I'm going to start with the worst ones and move into the ones that they might work, okay? The first one that I want to share with you, and let's remember, this is for people that it was focused on over 50, okay? So this is for people that aren't 20 and 30 that are saving for decades. This is people that want retirement income. All right, the very first thing was I'm going to refer to my notes here, create a cash reserve, okay? How is that going to generate income exactly? To create a cash reserve. I mean, I know that we all need to have the living expenses covered, the 1 year or 2 years or 6 months or whatever it is you choose to cover in living expenses, and we need to have that money in cash. That doesn't generate income. In fact, it's invested probably, if it's in cash, it generates nothing. If it's in a money market, it generates nowadays after tax and or after inflation negative yield. So that is not going to generate income for us, okay? That was a very common suggestion. All right, the next one is to take a pension. Okay, well, wouldn't we all love that? If you're fortunate enough to have a pension, you've probably already thought about taking it, right? But if you're like the rest of us that don't have a pension, then you're probably needing to come up with some other ways to generate income in retirement. The next suggestion was, oh, here's a good one. This was actually one of the better ones, and it was to delay Social Security, receiving Social Security. That's not really going to generate income. It's going to restructure your income so you get it at a little bit more at a different age, but it's not generating income, okay? Let's be real. All right. The next one was I love this one. I saw it everywhere, put money in buckets. Okay, the bucket strategy is wonderful, and it's about using different buckets. You have this money, it's kind of like that emergency cash or that money to live on that you have in cash or money market that's not going to fluctuate in value. I get that. And then you have another bucket that has a little more risk, and then you have another bucket that you absolutely don't touch. And there are different buckets that you keep your investments and your money in. This isn't going to generate income. It is, okay. Managed spending was the next suggestion. Okay, well, we sort of already know that. We learned that when we were like 5 or 10 years old, and that's not going to generate income. That is managing spending and prioritizing how we spend our money. All right, the next one was to protect against inflation. Yeah, I think that's really, really smart. Is it going to generate income? No, it's not going to generate income unless perhaps you invest in some sort of inflation hedge like rental real estate that generates income for you. All right, the next suggestion was to minimize taxes. Okay, minimize taxes is absolutely smart. That's part of personal finance and growing wealth. But minimizing taxes does not in and of itself generate income for you. Now, stay with me because I'm going to go in the solutions that we found that worked after I finish my short rant here about the things that don't work. All right, the next one is to make retirement withdrawals. Okay, that's not generating income. It is always called retirement income in financial planning and retirement planning. It's not income. It's spending the amount of money that we have saved and grown over the years in our investment accounts. All right? Withdrawals are not income. They are spending our money. All right. The next one is to open a health savings account. All right. Well, that could be a really great strategy as far as minimizing taxes and helping pay your medical expenses. And it's a strategy. It's not a way to generate income. And I almost say shame to these companies that are well-respected, excellent companies for publishing this as ways to generate income in retirement. These are not ways to generate income. They do touch on and can be very strategic and smart personal finance topics. All right, let me say the next couple could work. You know, they're maybes. They're not without problems though. The first one is to purchase an annuity. Of course, the articles had links to where you can purchase annuities, and as did all of these articles have references to where you can buy and do each of these things with various products. Ugh. All right, so this one was to purchase an annuity. Now, let me give you the details. It's really tricky to find out how much an annuity will pay you. I've run into this in the past. It's very heavily regulated. So I say this with just a complete disclaimer here. What I found from annuityexpertadvice.com, good website. It had some really good information. And they said after researching 326 annuities from, I think it was like 50 or 60 different insurance companies. Here's what they found a $100,000 annuity would pay. Now let me look at my notes for the details. $752 a month for the rest of your life. If you're 50 and you delay taking that income until you're 60, and of course that would be before taxes, if any, and so that's $752 for the rest of your life. Yes, that would generate income. My big concern is you've got all that money tied up in that annuity, and so annuities don't have the highest returns. And so maybe you could do better somewhere else with that money. So that's problematic, as I mentioned. However, it would generate income, and it does work very well for some people that have a whole lot of money and they don't want risk. The only real risk being the insurance company could go bankrupt, which is highly, highly unlikely. All right, the next problematic suggestion, which was a maybe, was to get investment income from stock dividends. And they suggested funds that in the article, they were suggesting paying 2.5% to 4%. However, I researched the funds that were suggested, and they were yielding closer to 2.8 to just under 3% income. Well, if we knock off 1-2% for inflation, maybe 3%, I kind of think it's a little higher, but that's me. I'm not an economist, and it's just kind of what I see. Then we're sort of breaking even, or maybe just getting a tiny little bit of income after we factor in inflation, and or especially if we have to pay taxes on that income, we can totally come out negative. So that is problematic in that way. Now, to me, the very, very best suggestion came from Motley Fool. So I want to give them credit for this. Work part-time. I love that idea. I found it's boring in retirement. So work part-time, buy rental properties. Love that idea. Been there, done that. We did that years ago. Rental properties can allow you to accumulate assets that pay for themselves and or generate a little bit of income. It's very important to get the timing right on that, and buy right and all that's a whole other conversation. Good for Motley Fool for mentioning something outside of stocks and bonds that's slightly alternative. And then the other recommendation that Motley Fool made was to buy a local business. Gosh, local businesses are really risky. Brick and mortar businesses take a lot of capital, very capital intensive, very high failure rate. So I'm not sure about that one. I love buying online businesses as a strategy. That makes a lot of sense to me because they're extremely low capital, low risk, and they are a high income generating asset. However, I do give credit to Motley Fool for thinking a little bit outside the box, because that's what we had to do. And I think that's what we have to do going forward now that we know that investment income is lower than it used to be in previous decades, right? We've got to do something more creative than planning on relying on bond income. There's absolutely no doubt about that. Or these other traditional methods, as you've seen in this video. Here's what worked for us. We created different types of multiple income streams so that we could not rely so much on making withdrawals in retirement, or we could survive the low investment income that is present these days with these low interest rates. And then the other thing that we did was create a diversified portfolio that is not just in stocks and bonds, that is more likely that has historically shown to generate a higher return than simply stock and bond passive asset allocation type investing with less risk than just stocks and bonds. That's what I wanted to share with you in this video. Forgive my rant, and remember, retire certain.